Hello, my name is Jared Smith and this is my wife Sylvia. We're here to share with you our experience as Airbnb hosts for the last year by sharing our room in our home and with an internet connection. We've been able, with that spare room and the internet connection, to make over $18,500 approximately in exchange for little work and yes, minor life adjustments, lifestyle adjustments. But I think it's worthwhile because we've been able to cover our mortgage, and additionally we've had, with the additional bit of money that is left over, we've been able to have extra time to further develop our real estate long-term strategy. And of course, a year ago we had no experience in short-term rentals.
Well, very briefly, we want to explain you what's Airbnb. Airbnb is an American company that operates in 191 countries. It's an online marketplace and a hospitality service that was founded in 2008. Last year, it had a revenue of $2.8 billion and 200 million members. Airbnb was founded with the idea of solving three main problems: price, which was a concern for customers; hotels, which are disconnected from the city and the local culture; and the third problem is it wasn't easy for the locals to connect with people who wanted to book a room. The solution gave three main aspects. The first one is it helps the consumer to save money. It helps the locals to make money. That's the second solution. And the third one, it helps you to share culture.
After we tell people about our Airbnb experience as hosts, we're usually asked the same questions or approached with the same concerns. Either people say that it's very easy money, or they say that somebody's going to ruin their property, or that they've heard of big parties at Airbnb spaces. So anyways, after being host for 1 year, honestly, we've only had good experiences, and although we've read some incidents where horror stories, they usually are very few and many more success stories than people with bad experiences. However, what we're going to do next is we're going to talk about some pros and cons, common pros and cons that we've seen throughout our year. One of the big first pros is actually money. And if you want to gauge how much you might make with an Airbnb hosting a place, gauge what the hotel rates are in your area, and you'll probably get a good idea. Just remember that a successful Airbnb listing will probably only accomplished with having proper furnishment, good photography, good customer service, and you'll probably make 2 or 3 times more than you could expect making with unfurnished long-term rental leases. For us right now, what we've actually been able to do is pay our mortgage monthly with our Airbnb proceeds, and not only that, but the extra income left over has allowed me to stop doing my part-time job that I used to have as an interpreter and focus more on our long-term real estate strategies and less on that previous part-time job.
Another pro of the Airbnb experience for us has been the cultural exchange. For instance, we have been able to use Airbnb to meet people, and I've been able to use Airbnb to practice my English, and some people come to our house because they want to practice their Spanish.
Some guests look for Airbnb hosts because they want to find a local connection in the city and experience the life of locals. However, we've also found it true that it's the other way around too. We find out a lot about what's going on in Atlanta, and events that we would never know about, people coming to conferences, people coming for competitions. And there's many examples that we can share with people from all over the world.
Another pro of the Airbnb experience has been the improvement and a tidy house. So we've been doing many upgrades to our house, like upgrades in the electric outlets. We convert a half bathroom to a full bathroom. We had now blackout curtains, and we have been able to do minor improvements like a ring, doorbell, a Nest thermostat, keyless lock entry. Sometimes the guests point out needed maintenance. Sometimes because we're keeping the place, we notice things that needs to be upgraded. So we keep our place at best. The other pro of the Airbnb experience is that it's very flexible. So there is no long-term commitment and there is no registration fees.
So for instance, if you want to try out Airbnb and you don't like it, it's not a right fit, there's no wrongdoing. You can just walk away. If you need it only temporarily because odd situation came up and you need the extra cash, go for it. That's a big benefit of this Airbnb doing it as a business. As far as cons, we've identified 3 main cons. However, for each of these, we found solutions, or we just don't consider them a really big issue. The first one is time constraints. The second one is going to be the work involved. And the third one are the risks. So for time, what I mean about time is you have to plan your schedule around the Airbnb bookings. You might have somebody coming on the Airbnb guest coming on the weekend, and you wanted to go on a small trip on the weekend. So you'll have to figure out a way to make the room available, or make the home available, or whatever it is that you're providing through Airbnb. And as far as what was it, time? Work. Okay, so as far as work, it's not a big deal. What work is involved? Cleaning sheets, maybe cleaning house. Like we said, that's also a big benefit because it makes you keep your house tidy. Stocking supplies and instant communication. That's a big deal in
writing reviews.
Instant communication, writing reviews will have a big impact on your rating as a host and your future business. Like I said, with time, this can all be worked out and it's not a big issue. You'll build a system and there's ways around it to make it not painful.
Also, this work can be outsourced, but in order to be a good host, it's better if you do it by yourself while you learn how to do it and how to outsource it. And sometimes there might be not enough room to outsource the tasks. Finally, the third group of cons that we have identified is the risk. This risk can be noise, bad reviews, or damage of personal items.
So all of these can be minimized. Noise or loud guests, if you have clear manuals of what is expected of them, they'll follow them. They'll follow the rules. Bad reviews, that's a big risk. So definitely you've got to be you have to be nice and you have to be straightforward and say everything in advance so they have the right expectations of where they're going to arrive. Damage of personal items and so many other things that can go wrong. Make sure you do find the right insurance. Make sure you approach the right insurance agent and tell them what you're doing and get insurance tailored to short-term rentals. There's some people already out there that have a product for this.
You also can screen your guests, ask for the intention of the trip, read the reviews, verify the information before they come to your place.
So you'll get a good idea of what type of people are arriving. Like we've said, we've personally never had a bad experience. We might have had a couple uncomfortable situations, but that can happen anywhere and in any type of business. So like any other business, you're going to be exposed to some risks, but they're all manageable. And I don't know, maybe Airbnb hosts 500,000 bookings per night, and there's some remote, I mean, there's bound to be one or two bad situations. It's a numbers game.
Every business has pros and cons, but we've been continue to do this because we have experienced many more pros than cons. Imagine how to get a share of Airbnb. If you own a space, you can rent a room, an entire house, a couch. You can rent any type of space, a tree house, a tent in your backyard, a boat, a trailer home. Or you can offer experience. For instance, how to make pizza, how to make pasta, how to make sushi, how to do pottery. You can even offer experience of real estate tours. Or you can do both. You can rent a space and offer experience.
So as an Airbnb user, as a guest, you can think, well, I might be having a job in another town for 2 months, so I'm going to Airbnb a space. Well, you can also think of it, if you own a place, there's people that come all the time just for short-term jobs. The movie industry, you might want to rent out for them for 2 months, 1 month, 15 days. There's all sorts of types of jobs where people come and go. There's other uses. You can be creative. You have to be creative with Airbnb. It gives you many options. There's people that have more than one home. For example, a person might own a home in the country and a home in the city, and they don't want to be in the city all the time, but they want to offset their costs of the home in the city. So while they're in the country, they can have Airbnb and offset those costs, fixed cost of owning a home in the city. There's other cases where people can take advantage of peak demands or high demands due to events. Say there's a convention or a concert or something. Well, if you live in a one-bedroom apartment and you feel comfortable with going to your friend's place for a night or two, you might be able to get away with charging a good price for a night or 2 nights, over $100, $200. Go spend the night with your friend, your family, and then come back. No long-term commitments. That's another beautiful part of the Airbnb. There's no long-term commitments. You do it as you see fit. Well, so it works both ways. You can use it when you travel. You can use it when people come, for jobs, for events. The thing is, no matter where you are in Georgia, with a little bit of creativity and knowledge, you can also use the Airbnb platform to earn some extra cash or earn cash, make it a business.
For us, Airbnb has been extremely flexible and profitable. You should give it a little try. For instance, we have 2 options in our home. We could use a traditional lease and rent the entire house for $1,500 per month, or
outside of the Airbnb platform, a traditional lease.
Or you can rent only 1 room and receive the same amount of money while you live in the house. Which one would you choose?
What we will be teaching during a 6-hour course basically is divided into 4 sections. The first section is the basics and setting up an account. We'll actually go through creating a listing from zero. The idea is to have an appealing listing, regardless that there aren't any reviews yet for that listing or that you don't have a history. Then that listing will also try to shoot for the optimal renting conditions, and this might include pricing the listing. The second section is what to do during your first month. It'll briefly explain what you can expect you'll be doing, what your work will be, how to actually receive your first customer, and aim towards getting consistent 5-star ratings in the different areas. Then the section 3 is automating your Airbnb business, so tricks and tips from other people, and that you should know after doing this for a while, and building it where it kind of becomes a passive income or pretty close to it. And lastly, our fourth section is perfecting Airbnb management. How can you do this? By making tweaks on the Airbnb portal where you do what you want with the business, such that you control it, you spend the amount of time that you want, and make the money that you want. So you do that through tweaking the different options that the Airbnb portal gives you, and also by adjusting your physical space and tailoring it towards certain groups of people or types of people. And we will probably also include a bonus part. However, this is based on how the course goes and what people request. So more or less that's what the course will include. Obviously, after the course is over, we'll be open to receive questions and assist people, trying to get them to setting up their first listings. And we want them to be successful such that they'll continue doing this and they'll be able to benefit from the Airbnb and the sharing economy, as you may call it, just like we have, and hopefully make it part of their real estate strategy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.